He's live with me now on CWR. Morning, Alastair.
Morning, Phil. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks very much indeed. I have to say, a little bit of trepidation about taking this challenge next week and changing my my diet for a week to try and take part in this. Is there? Is it really possible? How important is food and diet when it comes to tackling climate change?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it is very important for two reasons. So one is kind of more intellectual, and the other is a bit more substantive. So I think all of us have arrived through a life that has encouraged us to, we choose to do what we want. I can do this, I like this, and I can afford it, so I will do it. And I think that's caused a lot of problems. So if people now start to maybe make food, or like you've mentioned, your colleagues, transport or something else, a first point of sort of changing the way they think about their choices and actually sort of putting other priorities first over just what I fancy on my plate at the moment. That's a really important change. And then beyond that, yes, I completely agree. What you're doing is great. Dietary change can make a big difference on our individual level, particularly where we're thinking about meat and substitutes for that. So what you're doing is great. How are you enjoying it?
So far, it's early days. I'm actually going to keep a diary of what I eat and what I'll be changing, the meat I'll be cutting out, and what I'll be replacing it with all next week on the programme. So if you're listening in next week, you can track that. But I know what we've done is send you. I've been working out how much food I eat and the footprint it makes with a food calculator. We've got a food calculator up on the BBC website, bbc.co.uk/science and environment. Go to that food calculator. I put in my usual intake of chicken for a week, and it calculates that over an entire year of consumption of chicken, contributing 284 kilograms of annual greenhouse gas emissions. So my intake of chicken is equivalent to driving a regular petrol car 726 miles, as heating the average UK home for 45 days. My consumption of chicken uses 19,000 litres of water. That's equivalent to 292 showers of 8 minutes a shower, and 352 square metres of land. That's equal to the space of a tennis court. I mean, that really does bring it into some kind of perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I've looked at the tool, and I think it's really nice because sort of thinking about how we make decisions, it's often really hard to relate, right? You just fancy a steak, you don't have any imagination as to the impact that creates. And by looking at this tool, I think it really helps put things into perspective. It's also great that it doesn't just focus on carbon, because obviously the climate emergency is exceptionally acute, but we can't just focus on that because the natural world is so interconnected. So thinking about water footprints and other impacts is also really valuable. So using this tool makes an awful lot of sense.
Is it enough though? I mean, changing our diet, eating less meat.
Yeah, I mean, I would say absolutely not. We have reached a stage. I think Boris Johnson said we need to act now, and I think he's wrong. We needed to act 40 years ago. I've given a presentation the other night, and in my academic view, what we are going to face is the social implications of what's happening with our environment. So what I suggest to my students, and I would suggest to your viewers, depending on their age, is that this is not a thing for the future. We are going to see the detrimental impact on our lives increasingly going forward. And that could be really stark. This could be, we've already got food prices that are some of the highest in recorded history. And that's not a message that gets out very much. And part of the reason for that is to do with unpredictable weather. So if that continues, we're in an awful lot of trouble. So the idea that people just changing their diets can make enough of a difference, that I think is categorically untrue. We need substantial structural change in our world. But if your way into this is thinking about your diet, then that's a fantastic step.
Alastair, appreciate your time this morning. Really do. Thanks so much indeed. Dr. Alastair Smith from the University of Warwick. Really good insight there, isn't it? Into the way food production as well also affects climate change. When I talk about